What's up, guys? I'm glad you're here. My name's Mason. I've been married to my wife, Maya, for a little bit over a year now. Today is August 11th, 2026. We got married in May 10th of 2025. So I'm no expert in marriage. I just want to preface by saying that, but I have learned a lot in my marriage with my wife over the last year and a half almost. I can tell you one thing. I used to treat my relationship a completely different way before I found Christ. And I'm going to dive into that a little bit and deeper as we go throughout this course. But where I'm at now is completely different than where we started when we dated. And I'm super thankful for that because it's changed everything. It's improved my business, my fitness, my at home life, my peace, just being on the same page with my wife, having the same goals, becoming one flesh. It's been unreal. And so we started back years ago, five or 6 years ago, when we started dating. Met through a friend, a mutual friend, and ended up taking about 6 months for me to be able to convince her to hang out with me. And so we finally did hit it off, and we dated for probably about 4 years, I think. And through that time, I was definitely living for myself, very selfishly. I definitely wasn't anywhere near becoming a husband. I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't the man that could earn a noble wife, a wife that would submit to a man. And I got engaged. And it started to change something in my head. It was weird what happened when I got a ring and I put a ring on her finger. I started to feel this different type of responsibility, like I was meant to take care of my my bride to be. And it led me down a road of I had to talk to other men who were married. I wanted to understand what they were doing in their marriages and their life and their business. How are they improving themselves and becoming better versions of themselves for their wife. So I hit a Bible study one day and it changed my life. I never really had faith before then. I got an open invite, sat around a table with a bunch of men trying to become better versions of themselves, and it started with an extreme amount of conviction around a topic that I really struggled with. And I knew it was destroying what beautiful thing we could create through marriage. And it definitely hurt my wife, and I thought it was normal. And there were a lot of other things that started to compound, new convictions that came up. And what's crazy, when you enter into a marriage, you have to die to your old self, give your old self up for her. These are all things I was learning for the first time. And we talk in Ephesians, in the book of Ephesians, it talks about wives submitting to their husbands and all they do. And everyone forgets to look at the second part. Men as leaders need to be the ones also submitting to our wives, giving ourselves up for our wives, loving them so much, doing things for our wives, providing for our wives. There's such a big responsibility there. And in order for you to have a wife that submits to you, you have to be worthy of being submitted to in the first place. What wife is going to submit to a man that's does everything for himself and not for others? So I had this crazy conviction, and I started to. I was doing my own thing with finances and building our future. It was our future, but really it was just mine because I never really brought her in. I said, I don't think she doesn't want to hear about it. This is what I really want to do, and you just like had this collision in everything. It was weird, and slowly but surely, I started learning more about God, learning more about Jesus, learning more what it meant to be a real man, learning what it meant to just love. The word love seems like it's such a feminine word, but I started to realize it was one of the most manly words in the Bible was love. And so I just tried to slowly die to my old self, slowly get rid of these ways. I definitely went way longer with, um, I was giving up things in my life that I thought I needed, and they were slowly like dropping off. And I started to see myself become even better in business, be better at home with my wife, be more loving. And no wonder God calls us to get rid of our sin and to come to Him, because He was the only thing that actually took those things away from me. I could never do it on my own strength. And so I started submitting more to God. I started submitting more to Him. And in return, I started to figure out these things that made a marriage really, really good. And they talk about marriage where you become one flesh with your bride. You're not two separate beings anymore. You are literally one. You are one. And so, what does it mean to be one? We are on the same page with everything. If we have different viewpoints, we need to figure it out. With finances, we had to get on the same track. We had to be on a budget together. We had to set goals together. It couldn't just be anymore. It couldn't just be me figuring it out. It had to be both of us. And I had to, instead of doing it my own way, I had to submit down and say, how can I help my wife get in on this with me? How can I make it fun for her? How can I make this how can I make these wins our wins, not just mine? And it started with finances, and it's escalated to now we're blessed with a baby boy coming along the way, and getting on the same page with parenting and our principles and our priorities at home, and reading the Bible and doing these things together, getting on the same page with, maybe we don't need everything that we think we need. Maybe we can be happy together with what we have currently. And all these things have been piling up and stacking up slowly day by day to where my marriage has never been better. Don't get me wrong, we still have bumps in the road. We still have things we kind of, you know, bump heads on, but it's crazy what happens when you turn your marriage into an actual partnership. Like, we treat our businesses and our partnerships in business so well that sometimes we forget, like, our most important partnership is at home with our wife. Because if our house isn't in order, everything else goes to crap. I don't know about you, but for me, when my house isn't in order, my relationship at home, my wife isn't great. It's messy there. It's cluttered. It's not taken care of. Everything else stems off of that. Weird how that works. And so I've done it the way without God, and I've done it with God. And I can tell you what's actually led to success. And it wasn't what I was doing to start. It's what I've been doing now. And that's been my experience lately. I'm trying to help, I'm trying to learn more and grow more in my marriage so that I can help more people experience the peace of Jesus in marriage. And I think everything else actually, your marriage bleeds into every aspect of your life. And I think it starts at your marriage with Christ at the center. I firmly believe that. I've tried it the other way, is putting other things first before God in my marriage, and it didn't work. So here am I today, showing you the things I've learned that have worked for me. They might not work for you, I don't know, but maybe they do. And so we're going to dive into those things here as we move on in the course. I encourage you just to open your mind a little bit, open your eyes, open your ears, just to be listen and hear things, and maybe something sticks for you that causes you to be a little convicted about this thing. And I think in the conviction we find change, and the change can be for good if it's through Christ. So follow along.